Remember, a writer writes.
The simplest advice is often dismissed because it's just that, simple. Think about the old proverb, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. It sounds so basic that we throw it away because we've heard it 1,000 times. But when you actually think about it, these kinds of sayings stick around because, well, they're true. It does take a single step to get moving with a project. See, when I was a little kid, my grandmother used to knit. She knit everything from booties through to football jumpers. And she got us kids involved in the knitting. And me being me, I had to hunt down the instructions that often came with a collection of wool on how to knit. Now, the thing with knitting is that you don't really learn to knit until you put 2 knitting needles in your hand and you start going at it. That's when you get your stitching all wrong and make a horrible mess of things. Same thing happened years later when I was living in London, and a good friend of mine came to me and invited me down to play a game of rugby. Now, I'd never played rugby, so he gave me a book, which was the rules and tactics of rugby. Well, again, me being me, I devoured it. And having finished it, I probably knew more of the actual rules of the game than almost anyone on the field, perhaps with the exception of the referee. But that didn't actually make me a good rugby player. And you don't know what it feels like to play rugby until someone's laid a tackle on you. What is the point I'm making? You don't learn to do by reading, you learn to do by doing. Take writing, for example. I'm not against learning from those that came before you. In fact, I do it myself. Taking the opportunity to read widely in your genre is a smart thing to do. Looking at how great authors have put together their characters and their scenes and their prose is a very smart thing to do. Taking courses at your local college or community college, joining a writers group, or even listening to someone babble on YouTube. These are all good ways to inform your technique and become a better writer yourself. But you'll never truly become a writer until you write. That's what writers do.
Remember, a writer writes.
To create memorable characters, you have to begin the process of creation. You have to write. To write fantastic dialogue,
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
you have to write and listen. To learn about pacing and structure, you really only get a feel for that by actually writing and editing. There's nothing wrong with improving your craft, with trying to learn from others and get better at what you're doing. In fact, it's a smart thing to do. But when that learning gets in the way of you actually writing, of pen to paper, of finger to keyboard, of backside in the seat, well then it's really meaningless. And it's that simple advice
Remember, a writer writes.
that will keep you in good stead. Make it your practice to do some every day. Doesn't matter how much. Something every day, because that's what a writer does. Now get off YouTube and go and write something. And for extra points, where does that scene come from? Of course, it's the classic movie Throw Mama from the Train, with the wonderful Billy Crystal, Danny DeVito, and the fantastic Anne Ramsey. And it was written by Stu Silver.